Hello guys and girls, and welcome to today's video. Today I will be doing something a bit more interesting and something that I started to think about when I realized that I had trouble with it. So maybe if I do this video I'll help some of you guys out. Basically, some time ago I did a drawing and I lined it with a pen that wasn't compatible with alcohol markers. And that picture is, I'll link it to you in the description, and also I'll show it to you now. I'll show you the video. What I had to do is I had to take the line art, scan it, then alter it in Photoshop and then print it, because my printer's ink worked very well with the COPICS and the Spectrum Noirs, basically with the alcohol markers. So today I'm testing out these 9 pens. These 9 pens I chose just in no order in particular. I had some of them before. I had the Stadler ones and they didn't work very well. But anyway, I'll review them as well in the whole batch. There are 9 pens because I like the number 9 and because it's quite close to 10. Yeah, some of these are quite expensive, like the Pigma Micron, and some of them are really cheap, like the Stabilo .88. I bought these pens from a website called Tiger Pens. They have quite a lot of merchandise, quite a lot of pens, and I think they're quite good in terms of customer service and all that, so go check them out. The link will be in the description below. So without further ado, let's start. For this comparison I will be using a COPICS marker E11 because it's quite a light color, and if the ink starts to streak it will be quite visible. So yeah, I've got pens with different sizes, and you'll see the size if it has been noted on the pen. If it's not noted on the pen, it's probably quite big. So these are the Stadlers, and the Barol ones, they didn't have their size. Let's start. What I'll do, I'll draw an eye and I'll go over with the COPICS marker. I have a similar comparison done for the Spectrum Noirs as well, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. I've ordered these from the most expensive to least expensive ones, and they're not obviously ordered by size, but the ones that I did for the Spectrum Noir comparison, they're ordered by size, so you'll be able to see that as well. So we start with the Pigma Micron. So sadly it did get quite ruined, and the tip also didn't stand very well. I'll show it to you. And here the tip is a bit black, so I think there is still some of it on the tip. What I would like to do is I would do like a little line and little cross hatch, just to see if when they dry, I'll go over these when they're dry and see if just this has quite a lot of drying time, and that's the reason why it got smudged. So this one, autographic liner, stood very well. It's also made in Japan, so I think they knew that maybe a lot of their graphic liners will be used together with COPICS. So as you can see, it's not smudged at all. If you look at the Pigma Micron, which I think incidentally was also made in Japan, yes, but the autographic liner holds up very well and it's really fast drying. So now it's time for my least favorite pens, that are the Staedtler. I'm really sorry, but they're my least favorite because they have a really nice thick black line, which I really wanted to use in my paintings, but they really don't hold well, and I'll show you. So the non-permanent version, I thought it would hold really badly, but to be honest, it holds better than the permanent version. Maybe there is some sort of a pigment there that is just better with alcohol, but it still feathers quite a lot and it still changes the density of the line, so that is why I don't particularly like it for my line arts. This eye, I think, really looks like a fish for some reason. Like, look at it. It's like a fish. If I do like a thing here. Oh, it's like a fish. Okay, never mind. Let's try the Copic. Now for the cheapest choices, the Birol Fine Writer and the Stabilo Point 88. From the Birol, because the packaging, I'm sorry, but the packaging is really not very nice and the nib feels really plasticky and cheap, so I didn't expect a lot from it. But surprisingly, it held really well with my Spectrum Noirs, so I'm expecting a similar result with the Copics as well. And it dried really fast because there is no smudging whatsoever. It feathered a little bit when it came in contact with the paper, so the feathering that occurred is not a result of the alcohol but more a result of the paper, which is obviously it's card, so it can hold on quite a bit of ink. Surprisingly, there is no smudging or feathering either, so it's quite good. Now I'll be doing the comparison of all the 9, and I'll show you how they fare after they've completely dried. So here we have the overall comparison. I wouldn't recommend Staedtler because they feather a lot. Pigma, Kuretake, Edding and Unipen smudged a little bit, so they're not fast drying. Maybe they will work better when they're dry. Let's see. The Pigma Micron, although it is the most expensive of all the pens, I bought this for £2.20, I think, yes. And it says archival ink. It actually doesn't work very well. You can see that it's just been really it's smudging, and I actually have another drawing that I'll show you just now. I also have this drawing that I did with the Pigma, and look at this. This is a smudge I couldn't cover up in any way, and I'm really sad because at the beginning when I did my research I thought that archival ink meant that it works well with Copics and with alcohol markers, and that's not the case. So, Micron, you go into the pile of no-nos. The Kuretake Zig has a really nice sort of feel to it as a pen, and I really like how it flows on the paper, but sadly it also smudged. I think when I was testing it with my Spectrum Noirs it didn't smudge, But mind you, I think what is in the Copics and what is in the FINELINERS is a bit different. So in terms of Copics, it smudged. It even smudged when I had let it dry for a bit. So I would put that in the no pile just to be safe, because this is a really thin one. So if you get a thicker one, you'll probably get quite a big smudge, and you don't want that on your drawing. The edding, I think the edding wasn't supposed to smudge, but it did. And I'm really disappointed because it's the same as the Kuretake. It just feels really nice and it's quite expensive as well, but it just didn't work. It smudged here and the line is a bit feathery. So overall, in the no pile. This is my no pile, by the way, and so far it has 3 out of 3. The autographic liner, there is it, there it is. Also feels very nice. It has a nice orange cap and it didn't smudge basically, and it didn't feather. So this, for me, I'm putting it in the yes pile because I think this is a very good graphic liner on the more expensive end, because it's made from Japan. And sorry, I wanted to say it is from Japan, and it just works very well with the Copics. I don't think I want to talk more about the Staedtlers. I'm just putting them in the no pile. And yeah, so far my no pile is pretty huge. Then we have the Unipin, for which I had quite big expectations, because it's quite a cheap pen, but it still looks good. And you can actually see here, you can see the needle tip, and it looks really great. It's just, the design is very nice. And also it says that it's water and fade proof pigment ink, but sadly it's smudged. It's smudged here, it's smudged here, so it's not that it didn't dry properly when I applied the marker here. So it's in my no pile as well. And then, really weirdly, the Barol by Papermate Fine Writer, which is not even like a drawing pen, it held up very well. I was really surprised by it, because when you start putting it on the paper, it starts feathering a little bit, because as I said, it feels really cheap, like nib feels really cheap, even when you draw with it. But it held up very well. So if you need to make elements and you need quite a thick line, because I think this is the only size they have, this is a great pen. So I'm putting it in my yes pens. And the last one is the Stabilo .88, which comes in, I think, like 500 different colors. No, there are a lot of colors, but they're not 500. But it also held really well. It didn't move at all. It's quite thick as well, because 0.4 is not for the finest of details. But overall, I think it's been great, and it's really cheap. I only got it for 79p, so that's not even £1, this pen. It's really cheap. And yeah, these 3 pens are what actually made it till the end. As I said in the beginning of this video, I wanted to give you the comparison for the Spectrum NAR markers as well, and here I ordered them by size. And as you can see, the Staedtlers didn't hold well at all. Then the Barol held well as well. The Micron Pigma got a little bit smudged, so sadly that's a no for alcohol markers all over the place. The Stabilo Fine Point 88 was also great, as it was in the Copic comparison. The edding held really well as well. Here there is a little bit of smudging, so I think with Spectrum NAR markers, if you don't apply a lot of them, you can use the edding anyway. And the same goes for the Unipin and the Kuretake Zig Millennium. I also compared another pen, which I didn't include in the Copic comparison because it doesn't work very well, but this is the I How a Cat's Story. This one came from a box, so I didn't purchase it from Tiger Pens, and I'm not sure if you can actually purchase it without it being in the bundles. This is why I didn't include it in the original Copic comparison. So overall, I think all of these pens by themselves, they're great. But when you add Copic markers, And when you add Spectrum Noir markers, it just becomes a really weird mixture, and you need to know which ones will hold well and which ones will not. So out of the 10, I want to say 10, but out of the 9 that I looked at, only 3 held well. And this is the Barol Fine Writer, the Stabilo Fine 0.88, and the Autographic Liner. These are the 3 that held really well. The ones that I would absolutely tell you not to buy are the Staedtlers, the Pigma Micron 05. These 3, they just didn't hold well at all, so I'll tell you, just don't buy them if you don't have them. And the 3 that were sort of in the middle were the Edding, the Zig Millennium, and the Unipin. So if you have these, I guess you can use them with caution, but I wouldn't buy them for a first-time user. I would still buy quite a lot of pens to try out, and these 9 that I've let you know about are behaving the way that I showed you. So if you don't want to get smudges, don't buy these as well. So this was my comparison for today's video. I hope you liked it, and I hope it was useful for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, although to be honest the results for these ones are quite straightforward, so I don't know if you can actually disagree with them. But if you've been using something for years and it's worked well for you, please let me know, and I'll be happy to review those pens as well. I'm probably going to try and make another one of these review videos, but about white pens, markers, and just stuff that you can do highlights with, because I've encountered some problems with them before, and I think that it will be useful for a beginner to know which pens to get and which to avoid. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe, and see you guys on Friday when I'll be doing an exciting video again, which will be a traditional painting, which I will then put somewhere in Sheffield, which is where I live, and I'll do an art drop because September the 2nd is World Art Drop Day, and I do want to participate this year, so hopefully there will be someone who will pick up my artwork and let me know that they've got it. Yay! So see you guys then. Bye!